I am Gary Hopkins and I'm the founder of I Love Coffee, and we are a artisan coffee roaster and we train and employ deaf youth. We are a food and hot beverage company, so in other words, we make delicious coffee which we roast ourselves. We make food, pastries. If you come into our cafe, it's filled with delicious goodies to eat. We also do catering, and we have satellite cafes which we supply goods to as well. I started the business in 2015 when I discovered that 70 to 80% of all deaf people are unemployed. There are a lot of challenges facing the deaf community, and I wanted to have a positive impact with that. The funding we received from CDI we used largely to buy a coffee roaster, which means that we are the first company in the world that has coffee that is roasted by the deaf, packed by the deaf, brewed by the deaf, and served by the deaf, which makes us totally unique. And with that funding, we were able to employ a great deal of people. With that money, we're able to employ the first deaf person as an assistant roaster. The funding came through just as COVID struck, so we were really in a very difficult situation where a lot of our in-office cafes had to close because of lockdown. So it allowed us to develop this site, which is now our head office with our roastery, central kitchen, training facility. So it really helped us get through a very, very difficult period, which was the COVID lockdown. I think the biggest challenge that was addressed was that we were ready for growth. And in order to grow the business, we actually had to start roasting coffee ourselves. Up until that point, we'd been using third-party roasters and giving away a lot of margin. So the moment we started roasting ourselves, the business became a lot more profitable. Our next step is to establish a training academy. We have received some external funding for that, and we'll be opening up a hospitality training facility where we will be teaching deaf youth to become baristas and work in our kitchen, and they'll be trained by our current staff who have been taught how to be trainers, and they'll be training in sign language. The CDI team put a lot of faith in us when we were experiencing a very difficult period of our growth, and that was during the COVID lockdown. We had anticipated growing our cafes to about 10 every year, and we projected our figures on that. And of course, COVID shut them all down and stopped that level of growth. But the CDI team trusted us that we would in fact create the jobs, and it was a little slower than we anticipated, but we did actually reach our targets. I would encourage anyone who wants to create jobs to enter the next round of funding. It's not easy funding to get. You have to be able to justify jobs, but if you're on a growth path, then this really is a very effective way to grow your business.